Good evening. I'm Marcia Thomas Brown. I'm the program chair for the Health Executive Club, and I'm also the treasurer of the Health Executive Club. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to this fabulous presentation this evening. I'm excited about it. I know that the tools and skill sets that will be shared here tonight, I definitely need them. So welcome all. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Black long-term care executives who have collaborated with the Health Executive Club in putting together this webinar, and great partners, and thank you very much. Just a couple of reminders. This webinar is being recorded. We also are approved by NAB for 1.5 continuing education credits. Please, 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 at the end of the presentation, complete your survey. This information is very important to us because this is how we determine future topics, future presentations, and pretty much how we're doing. So we definitely need your input on that end. Also, you will have the opportunity to interact with the speaker at the end of the presentation. So as we go along, please make sure that you record your questions in the chat. And at the end of the presentation, we'll open it up and you'll be able to ask those questions. I want to, I actually been reading about Dr. Bhagat intently and intensely. Great background. And so with that, I will take this opportunity to introduce our speaker tonight. Keep in mind that by the end of this presentation, that you'll be learning a number of support systems that will allow you to minimize and or eliminate your stress level, that thought of burnout, and I have to get out of here, I can't stand this anymore. Hopefully, our goal is that with what Dr. Bhagat will show and teach us tonight, you will feel much more comfortable in your future as it relates to being able to minimize the stress. Some of the learning objective for this presentation will be understanding the psychological mechanism of stress and burnout. We always talk about, we have it, but psychologically, what does that mean and how is affecting us? You'll be able to identify the adaptive and maladaptive coping mechanisms, which I'm looking forward to, learning science based on mindfulness techniques and their practical application to alleviate stress and burnout, and developing resilience to thrive in a medical and healthcare for healthcare professionals. And I have to make a statement that this does not only apply to healthcare professionals. Anyone will be able to benefit from Dr. Bhagat's teaching. Now, our speaker tonight is Dr. Tushar Bhagat. He's PhD, MS, MS, MC. Hopefully I got them all. Highly educated, highly experienced. He's a research assistant professor at Albert Einstein College of Medicine, Montefiore Medical Center, Bronx, New York. And usually at this point, I would tell you, you have the bio, go, read it. But I think it's very important for us to actually provide the background here at this point in time before he gets started, so you can really see the milieu of information that he will be providing. He's an accomplished cancer scientist for over a decade and a half and commended medical school faculty member. Dr. Bhagat has facilitated the mindfulness-based stress reduction program and other stress reduction programs at Columbia University, Brooklyn Hospital, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine and Cancer Center for cancer patients, PhD, doctors, therapists, scientists, and even to staff. His experience, extensive experience with yoga actually started growing up in India, which he actually began learning from his parents. And Dr. Bhagat embodied a deep commitment to teaching integrative mindfulness to create conditions for a happier, more content, and more meaningful life for his participants, meaning you guys. And so please, please help me in welcoming Dr. Bhagat. Dr. Bhagat, you're on.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Thomas Brown. That was a very kind introduction.
Well, I'm
Indeed.
not, just to correct you, that I'm Thomas Brown, but you can take the doctor component out.
All right, I'll say thank you, Marcia. That's very kind of
That's much better. You're welcome.
Yes. So while I'm at it, I also want to thank the Black Long-Term Care Executive Club and the Healthcare Executive Club who are co-hosting this event, and particularly Marcia, Dennis, Marcel, and Neil Botwinick, who has been instrumental in putting this together. So thank you all. And also thank you everybody who's here, who chose to make time to be here, to listen, to engage, and hopefully learn and take something away from here that would make their life a little more manageable. Yeah. So I'll give you an overview of what we are going to talk about in the webinar. And I would like this to be a more interactional, that's where the word experiential comes from. So some engagement from you all would be very helpful for you and me for both. Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen. You'll be able to see me in the top right corner. And for question and answers, we can wait at the end unless there are any burning questions that could be taken between sections, and I'll let you know when there's time. Yeah. So what do we plan to accomplish today is we'll go through an opening practice, then we have an overview of burnout in medicine. We'll focus on a couple of lead player there, nurses and physicians. And then we go into understanding the physiological mechanism of stress and burnout. And then we'll go to identifying some adaptive, maladaptive coping mechanisms, like Marcia said, and learning some science-based mindfulness techniques and their practical applications in our real lives, which can probably help us manage the stress and burnout. And then we'll actually get a taste of one of these practices, a couple of these practices to see what it's like. And then through this whole process, we'll learn how to develop resilience, yeah, and to thrive in not only a medical profession, but whatever profession or life, because this is applicable to anybody who is breathing, yeah. And then we'll jump into Q&A with any impending burning questions that you may have. So let's begin with an opening practice here as we are talking about mindfulness and mindfulness research. So wherever you might be at your office, at home, just identifying where are you? And when this question comes to you, just like how we put in on like a GPS or Google Maps, like our location where we are, and then we put in where we want to go, right? But we first put in where we are. So in this landscape of your mind or landscape of your being, see where you are and how do you know where you are right now? Yeah, it's probably your attention. Wherever your attention is, there you are. And that could show up as a thought on your mind, could be an emotion that is present, the way you're feeling, or it could be some body sensation that may be very present, uh, some pain, some tiredness, anything. So see what has your attention right now. Where is it? It could be even be here, um, like listening to this audio coming through. Yeah. And the invitation to you now is to simply type in the chat box whatever word represents where you are. Yeah. Whether it's there's a thought in your mind, there's an emotion or a sensation. Yeah. It could be things like feeling tired or feeling exhilarated or um, thinking about work, thinking about dinner. Yeah. Anything that might be. So just a gentle check-in, whether you type it in the chat box or not, at least being aware of it your own self to see what is going on. Yeah. We'll give a couple of moments for that. You could even close your eyes. Possibly you're aware of your breathing. Who knows? Now, whether your eyes are closed or open, uh, now the invitation for you is to think about something that was stressful or something that was difficult for you. Yeah. It could be a long day. It could be any work related matter or life matter. Could be a conversations with someone. Could be anything. Could be a social matter, environmental matter. See what comes to you if you're thinking about something stressful. And I invite you to choose something that is between like 1 and 7 on a scale of 10 in terms of the difficulty of feeling stressful so that it's manageable to you and does not overwhelm you. Yeah. So think about something that was difficult, something someone said or you said to someone, or the tiredness, exhaustion of the day. Yeah. We'll give a couple of moments to this. And you'll see pauses, pauses in listening, talking, hearing, doing something. They give a space to actually learn about what's going on. Yeah, so the chat is enabled now. You can add a word that represents how you feel while you think about this stressful event. How does stress show up for you, in other words? Yeah. There could be a bunch of emotions coming up. Could be frustration, could be anger, could be overwhelmed. And overwhelm is experienced in different ways. Tightness of face, yeah. It could be like feeling mentally overwhelmed, body, shoulders, and weight, tension in the chest, the feeling of dread. This word overwhelm seems to be very common, yeah? Tension. But the thing is, it could be experienced by each person in their own different way. Tiredness is one of them, yeah? Stress can manifest in terms of in form of tiredness as well, yeah? And then the awareness that my body is tired, or I have tension, or I have dread, I have overwhelmed. Sometimes we may not even know where that is felt. Yeah. And sleep could be affected by stress. Yeah. Think about whenever you're hearing these words or seeing these words, see if these are experiences that are common to you as well, or something new that you're seeing. Whether you feel impatient or you feel upset. Yeah. An upset is an emotion that could show up in many different ways, could also result in many different things. Perhaps all the things that we just heard earlier. Feel a sense of anxiety, tension in the neck, shoulders, exhausted. So noticing this pattern, the neck, the shoulders, they are very common places of experiencing stress. Feeling a tension rising in the chest, a concoction, a milieu of emotions that sometimes cannot be made sense of. Yeah. Feeling worried, concerned, yeah, could be worried about anything. We may not even know how we are worrying and what that might lead to. But these are some of the ways that we experience stress. Yeah, a lot of us and most of us. And mind you, there is some physiology behind this. Yeah, headaches are one of the common ones. Yeah, David saying headaches are experienced. So what I'm going to briefly discuss is what we know. So but I also have to make this distinction and this clarification that even though we are talking about some science, some neuroscience, some physiology of stress, yeah, yes, migraines are also another manifestation of stress and burnout. So what I'm saying is, even if we are discussing some science, some research of stress and mindfulness and meditation, you can see in the chat box, these are experiences that are already present, have been present for time immemorial. Yeah, even before research on this began. So this is a common human condition that has been there, and these situations have been existing for thousands of years, and the techniques to manage them have also been existing for many years. Uh, just the way of looking at it through the lens of science is new. Yeah. So just to keep that in mind, that just because we are talking about this publication came out in 2018 does not mean these revelations did not exist before. But to come back to the research on this, there was a systemic review that was done on burnout in physicians, yeah, in a medical setting. So a lot of these systemic reviews, the way it works, there are a lot of doctors and scientists in the audience. I might be preaching to the choir but for the uninitiated, um, in a systemic review, they review a lot of different research studies together, and then they uh, draw conclusions based on what is common between these studies that is of value, that gives us some idea of how stress is showing up. Yeah. So in this case, um, Dr. Rotenstein did led this study, and they took 182 studies, so pretty robust, and like close to like 100,000 participants, uh, representing 45 countries. So pretty good number of participants representing a broader geographical area. And then they also collected these studies from like a long time, from 1991 to 2018. What they found uh, among this population of physicians is like 72% of them, they feel emotionally exhausted. Now think about this. What does emotional? Some of you actually typed in the chat box, emotional exhaustion. What does emotional exhaustion mean to you? Yeah. You can again keep typing a word, like when I give these prompts, you can type in the box saying what emotional exhaustion looks like to you. 68% of them felt like depersonalization. Yeah. Depersonalization, like there are different ways of interpreting this. Uh, like not being able to relate with themselves or the other or others. Yeah. And then 60% of these physicians, they felt like low personal accomplishment. Yeah. And this has bearing on not only the way they feel in their professional life, but also in their personal life. It has bearings on how they function as a physician or for any medical healthcare provider, how they function efficiently or not. Yeah. Some of you are sharing what emotional exhaustion is to you, feeling mentally drained, feeling indifference. That's another a big one, feeling indifferent. And what does indifferent means? Indifferent means like not feeling happy or sad with things that were making you happy or sad in the past. Emotional exhaustion, no time for myself, can't think, all my energy goes elsewhere to other people. Caring too much about patients with no one caring for me. Yeah. So it could show up in many different ways. So you can see that the burnout is real. A lot of you experience yourself, but the study actually just attests to that. Yeah. Now there's another one that was done on nurses. Uh, this is very local actually. It's from SUNY Buffalo. Yeah, uh, in upstate New York. So they also studied a lot of, they also took a lot of studies, 37 eligible studies, which was what they were doing is they were testing burnout, like to know whether these nurses are burnt out. So they analyzed 37 studies here. What they found is the burnout that was very strongly correlated, meaning the more people feel burned out, it correlated with high amount of depression. Yeah. Depression is another condition that shows up in many different ways in people. And some of the things that you shared in the chat box, indifference, mentally drained, a lot of these are actually symptoms or beginning symptoms of depression. There's overlap between burnout, depression, anxiety. Yeah, there's a progression of this. And emotional exhaustion was also confirmed is a sign of burnout or a result of burnout. And then they also measured that there was a negative impact on work performance and the quality of nursing care that the patients receive. There's another study. This was actually co-hosted by a physician, Dr. West from I remember the Mayo Clinic, and Dr. Shanafelt, who's at Stanford. So what they were basically studying or discussing how burnout shows up. Yeah. And why does it matter? Like, why does burnout matter besides the person's own happiness? Yes. So coming back to this particular article in uh, Journal of Internal Medicine, where they were looking at the impact or why does burnout matter? Yeah. Because burnout influences or affects, like I said earlier, they confirmed here again, affects patient care, lower care quality. The healthcare professional, they do a lot of medical errors, longer recovery times for the patients as a result of that, and then lower patient satisfaction. Yeah. And then what is the bearing on the healthcare system because of this? Uh, Reduce physician productivity, increase physician turnover, there's less patient access, and then increase cost. And a lot of you from the healthcare industry, they know increased cost. That means a lot of fines that are incurred on the healthcare institution. Yeah. And there's also another big one. The medical malpractice is becoming a bigger and bigger cause of mortality or death in patients. Yeah. And that is a lot of it has to do with the burnout. Yeah. And then, not to forget, the healthcare provider themselves, the physician or the nurse or any other healthcare professional, their health. Yeah. As they are not able to manage this, they are often found to be abusing substances. Yeah. There's depression, there's suicidal ideation, poor self-care, and that is reflecting in the motor vehicle crashes as just one of the many adverse effects of the burnout. Yeah. This article also discusses some solutions to burnout, and we'll cover some of them over here. So when we talk about stress, a lot of you actually shared in the slide in the chat box, and I'm going to kind of tie that together into this physiological processing of that. So uh, if we talk about the nervous system and how does that um, go through the nervous system, how is it processed by the nervous system? So the physiological actions in the sympathetic nervous system. So if we, for anyone, for people of any expertise here, if we think about the two major nervous systems, yeah, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system of the autonomic nervous system branch, yeah, uh, the sympathetic is the one that is involved in the reaction to stress, yeah, stress or burnout and so on. And then how does that facilitate? How does that get activated? It's primarily it causes the release of adrenaline from the adrenal glands or suprarenal glands, which are sitting on top of our kidneys. Yeah, and we'll see how this happens. So what happens is, without going into too much detail, but I thought a little bit of detail would be helpful here. So the release of this particular neurotransmitter acetylcholine uh, is going through the sympathetic preganglionic nerves. Yeah. So the way to understand this is that is kind of the switch that begins. Yeah. And then the catecholamines, the neurotransmitters, the hormones that facilitate immediate physical reactions, which could be fight or flee or even freeze. Yeah. If nothing works. And how is that getting processed? If we have to fight or flee, we need a lot of energy. We need a lot of blood flowing through our bodies, particularly to the muscles. Yeah. So we need a lot of oxygen for this whole thing. So this whole hormonal trigger, it leads to the heart going faster. Therefore, the blood is getting pumped faster to our extremities, to our muscles. That's why the constricting of blood vessels makes it easier. Yeah. And then tightening of muscles. So we need muscles to be tighter so that we can run or fight. Yeah. So what happens is when there is abundance of these neurotransmitter that like a category called catecholamines, adrenaline is a type of um, catecholamine at the neuroreceptor sites, like where the nerves meet the muscles or any other organs, that facilitates the spontaneous or intuitive behavior which is often to combat or escape, fight or flee. Um, this could be like a bunch of information, but we'll spend some more time on this and definitely have time for questions on this. Yeah. So now this is another important concept. Why I'm sharing this is to kind of bring to your attention what would happen. Let's say if we are going through the stress reaction over and over again. So before you start reading this, let me give you an example of, let's say, a car, right? We are pushing on the gas pedal. The more we press, the more gas is used, the faster the car runs. Yeah. But then at some point, if we keep doing this more and more, if the foot is on the gas pedal, at one point the gas is going to run out. Yeah. So this system, this mechanism, the stress physiology, the general adaptation syndrome that it is called, it was first coined by Dr. Hans Selye. So that is kind of works in this gas pedal, gas usage, and then gas, let's say, emptying kind of way. So the way to understand this figure is on the vertical axis that you see the stress resistance from bottom to top going low to high. Yeah, the resistance that we have to stress. And then on the horizontal axis, the x-axis, you see these different phases, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, as the body goes through the stress reaction. Yeah. So if we go from left to right, the stressor occurs. The stressor could be anything. Yeah. Back in the day, it was a saber-toothed tiger that we are escaping from. But now, real people or situations are those saber-toothed tigers these days. Could be a difficult communication or all these stressful events that you thought about earlier that occurs. Yeah. So the resistance to stress initially is low, as you see with this blue line. The blue line slowly goes up as we move to phase 2. The body's resistance to stress can only last for, like I said, until it gets exhausted. And what is this body's resistance? It is kind of like a way the body adapts to stress by releasing these stress hormones that I mentioned earlier, the whole engagement of the nervous system and the musculoskeletal system that engages with the stress in order to combat the stress, right? Stress resistance. And then if we keep going on like this, if the body is required or demanded to cope with stress or to resist the stress constantly over and over again, day in and day out, it leads to exhaustion, not only of the physiology that actually helps us deal with stress, but also emotional exhaustion that a lot of you actually shared earlier. So now, mindfulness, it's a big word. It's like a humongous umbrella term. I'm going to switch gears over here to mindfulness now. That how does this all play out? And then I plan to tie this together, yeah? And then how does the brain gets involved in this? How do we know this influences the brain positively? The neuroscientific aspect of this, yeah? So mindfulness, as one of the scientists from MIT, John Kabat-Zinn, who developed one of these programs that been most studied, this is how he coins mindfulness, how even I understand mindfulness. It is to pay attention to whatever there might be going on, yeah? Like I might be hearing a sound, I might be having a thought, I might be having like pain in my legs, uh, could be anything. Paying attention to whatever is happening in that moment on purpose meaning intentionally that, okay, I'm going to pay attention to what's going on. I had chosen or decided that, right? In the present moment and non-judgmentally, meaning not trying to analyze that, not trying to solve anything, but just observing. Yeah. Like an example that comes to my mind or an image that comes to my mind is imagine like a little child. It's like you told a little child not to touch something or not to go somewhere. Yeah. But the child keeps going there. But then you're sitting there, you're just looking at them. The child also knows that, oh, my parent is looking at me. And you're just looking, you're not saying anything, you're not yelling or doing anything. Sometimes the child stops doing or going where you ask them not to go. It's kind of like that, not to actually do anything about it, but to observe without judging, without striving, without wanting it to be one way or another. That is mindfulness. Could be doing anything. This is like a huge word. We can unpack this if there are more questions about this later on. So now, what I would like to do before we jump into some more, let's say, science about this is about doing stuff, right? So I'd like you to experience a mindfulness practice that is very well studied for many, many years, like more than 44 years. Yeah. So it begins like this. So you can take a posture. Yeah. But before you take the posture, you begin with setting intentions. For example, like we saw the GPS, right? We know where we are first, then we decide where to go. That is setting intentions. Setting intentions to be open, like for this hour and a half, just to be open and see what you find. To be open, to be curious, to see, oh, what this is about. What else can I find? What is new? What is known? And then the willingness. Yeah, it's kind of the part of the same openness, curiosity, willingness loop. Yeah. And then placing your attention, where your attention might be on what you may be doing. That could be that you're listening and trying to do this mindfulness exercise or practice. And then first we are going to do two things. We are going to do a movement practice of mindfulness, and then we are going to do a brief sitting practice of mindfulness. Yeah. Now, taking care of yourself is like the number one thing here. So see what is safe for you in your environment and for your body. So the movement can be done standing up, also sitting down. I'm going to stand up. You're still able to hear me and also see me, yeah, on the little square, but you may not have to see me. The voice instructions will be good enough. So when you are, moment, yeah, I'm hoping I'm still audible, audible enough, yeah. So if you're standing up or sitting down, if you're standing up, taking a posture with your feet hip width apart, yeah. So your feet are apart from each other, just hip width. You can lift your feet and place them down, kind of feeling the touch of your feet, the soles of your feet to the ground, and then coming to stillness. If you're sitting down, you can observe the seat, the sitting surface you're on, bringing your attention there. Yeah. And then we are going to go through some guided movements here. You're taking care, whatever is safe for your body, doing that only to 60 to 70% of your capacity, not forcing yourself. So when you breathe out the next time, you're going to do some shoulder rolls. So you're going to bring your attention to both your shoulders. Yeah. And then slowly you're lifting your shoulders towards your ears, lifting them only to the height that's safe for you. Then we're going to rotate them forward with a forward motion and slowly bring them down. If it's safe for you, you can even close your eyes. You can do this sitting down or standing up. And then we're going to do some circular motions for your shoulders. The idea here, or the invitation here, is to keep your attention with this movement. And then whatever you find, you may find that, okay, my shoulders are moving. You may find that, oh, I'm feeling something there. Oh, I feel some pain. Or, oh, there's some relief I'm getting. It feels good or it feels difficult. See what you're finding. And whenever you want, you can reverse the direction of the rotation of your shoulders. And you can even rotate them independently of each other. Don't need to be both in the same direction at the same time. And during this whole time, your breathing is going with ease, making sure your breathing is moving smoothly, that you're not holding up the breath. And then pausing when you're ready. Taking a moment, like a moment that is long enough for like 2 to 3 breaths, 2 to 3 inhales and exhales, and observing what you find. Is there something prominent that is observable in your shoulders? new sensations, some warmth, some pain, some relief. Seeing what you find. And then when you're ready with the next exhale, you're going to point the chin towards the chest, not necessarily touching the chest with the chin, being very careful with your neck. And being aware that the neck isn't lowered down, the head is lowered down. And if it's available to you, if it's possible for you, giving gentle neck rotation, head rotation, neck rotation. Yeah. So in my case, I'm pointing my left ear towards my left shoulder. Shoulders are dropped, not lifted up. Then I'm rolling my head over in a very small rotation. And being aware of what I find. Maybe I find some relief, maybe I find some pain. Maybe I'm experiencing the weight of my head shifting around in a circle. When the chin comes back to the center again, reversing the direction of the rotation. When the chin comes back to the center again, lifting the head up, and we are going to engage in some spinal twist. Being very careful whether you're sitting down or standing up. Feet are still hip width apart. Or you're sitting down, you're just sitting down on the chair or wherever it might be. And we are going to gently turn the upper body towards the left. And then the neck or the head is following your shoulders. And this need not be a very long movement. It can be a very subtle movement. But the idea here is that your attention is observing this movement. It's probably observing that, oh, my upper body is turning and twisting, that, oh, I'm feeling something there, some pain, or just some stretch, maybe from the top of your head, all throughout your body. You're feeling the twist even in your legs. Slower, easier movements that are possible for the attention to follow. Returning back to the center, to the axis of your body, and then going into the opposite direction. Turning your upper body, turning your head. And your hands can also follow. Your hands could wrap around your body. But this is something that you can do anywhere you are. You have a break of 5 minutes, even 1 minute. You can repeat this maybe one more time on either side, but then now I invite you to return back to a comfortable seated posture. You could also continue standing up if that feels comfortable to you. Yeah. Now we're going to continue into um, a guided attentional focus practice. Yeah. We'll talk about all these. What are these exactly doing for us? So if you're sitting down, taking a posture that is dignified, yeah, comfortable, upright but not strained. So the way to do that is like imagining there's like a string going through our head to like throughout our spine. If we like gently pull that string, we are like at a comfortable upright posture but not strained. Yeah. So we need two things here: comfortable posture and then alertness, alert attention. So if you're sitting down, making sure your hands are resting somewhere comfortable so there is no strain on your shoulders, your neck. Your feet are also supported underneath so that your lower back does not feel any strain on it. And then with the eyes, you can either choose to maintain a softer gaze, meaning eyes slightly open, eyelids are lowered, but head is not leaning down, or they could be closed for the duration of this practice. And then choosing, once we have the posture, then choosing, making a choice of the point of focus. In this case, we're going to choose our palms. So to make it a little more easier, you could put your palms on your knees, your legs, or armrest so that your palms are touching something, ensuring that your breath is flowing naturally, even taking few longer, deeper breaths, if that helps. And then placing your attention on your palms, just acknowledging or noticing simply the presence of your palms, your hands, and the gentle sensation of touch, perhaps the gentle pressure you feel on the palms from the surface they are on. It's also possible that there is a temperature that you feel. Could be some warmth, could be coolness. There could be anything else. Maybe some moisture, humidity is felt, some tiny sensations, itching, gentle itchy sensation. And during this time, it's possible that your palms are feeling some sensations that you are not able to name, simply observing that sensation. It may also be possible that there are no sensations in the palms, simply acknowledging the presence of your palms. It is also possible that the attention goes somewhere, that there is distraction experienced. And whenever you find that, remembering to simply notice that the attention has moved from the palms and gently, without judging, again bringing your attention back to your palms. In case there's more restlessness felt, it's possible there is restlessness. That the attention just cannot stay on the palms. It just goes in a Brownian motion everywhere else. Remembering to do one thing first, accepting that, being okay with that. That is a tendency of the mind, the attention. And then to help it, you could have some brief, very subtle movement of your palms. If your hands are touching your knees or your legs or armrest of a chair or any other surface, very subtle movements, moving your palms back and forth, like very micro movements, just enough to feel some sensations. And when you find the attention has come back to the palms, you can pause. You can bring the palms to rest. You can pause the movements. Whenever the attention goes somewhere else, taking a moment to acknowledge and notice where it has gone, whether it has gone to a thought, to a worry, Maybe it has gone to feeling certain way, some emotion. Maybe it has gone to some pain you're experiencing in the body. Observing that, then again coming back to your palms. In a couple of moments, we are going to come to the completion of this practice. Slowly bringing some movements to your fingers, to your toes, and then very gradually opening your eyes. Staying with your current experience, whatever you're finding, being aware of that, whether you feel more tired, whether you feel sleepy, whether you feel more activated, just noticing what you find. Yeah. So this is one of the mindfulness techniques. Yeah. And then there are a few others that could be very easily available in like our mindfulness toolkit that could help us ground or calm when there's need for that. So in the practice that we just did, we used um, our palms as a focus of our attention. There are several others that you can use, several techniques that you can use depending upon where you are in your day-to-day life. Breathing is one of the very common technique that is used for mindfulness practices to ground yourself, to calm yourself. One of them is diaphragmatic breathing, diaphragm, yeah, which is in the region of your belly. That helps like when you respire, when you breathe, it goes up and down. So you can feel the movement at your belly. So the way it is done is you can take a deeper breath uh, using your belly, using your diaphragm, not the chest. Yeah. And you can, to test this, you can place your hand, one hand on the chest, one on the belly, diaphragm. People who do singing, artists, and all that, they actually do this for their own practice. This can be done sitting down or lying down, anything. You can try this now. If you're lying down, you can place one hand on your belly and simply noticing it rising up and down with every incoming, outgoing breath. There's another way. There's so many ways breathing can be done um, to bring calmness. There's another one called humming bee breathing. It also might feel a little funny, but it's kind of very effective, very scientific, and we'll see how that is connected to our nervous system. So the humming bee breathing is it goes in a way that where uh, you close your eyes and then you are gently pressing on your nostrils, very gently, not really closing them. And then once you inhale, deep inhale, you're exhaling with a hum. Your mouth is closed and you're humming. Yeah, so some air is passing out of your nose, but when you're exhaling, there's a humming sound like a humming bee. Mm. You can try this for just a minute or just 2, 3 breaths. Even now, your audio is not audible here actually, so you can try this even as you are listening to this. Yeah. So the humming bee breathing. And then there's another very common technique that is used is short inhale and long exhale. Yeah. So what you could do is once you observe your breathing, being aware of your breathing, you take a short exhale, so a short inhale, and you can count. Yeah, inhaling to the count of three. 3, 2, 1. And then exhaling for the count of 6. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can see when you exhale for a longer time, uh, most or all of the air exits out. Yeah. Even takes little effort to go that long. Or you can do another longer version of that. Short inhale for the count of 4 and a longer exhale for a count of 8. Yeah, see what works for you. And then between these two, short inhale, exhale, you'll also notice the pause in between. Like when you're inhaling to count of 3, 3, 2, 1, there's a pause before you exhale. And then you're exhaling for the count of 6. And there's a pause again after the exhale. So noticing just the pauses, both the pauses, and breathing in this way. Yeah. Just about 3 to 5 breaths, just a minute or so, a couple of minutes of doing this, you'll see there is some change in the way you feel. Now, it's possible that some people have difficulty observing the breath. So seeing what you can do and keeping it to a shorter time. Yeah, if you're a beginner to this, not doing it for very long. Yeah, definitely not longer than say 5, 10 minutes unless you're used to doing this. Now, when we said what is mindfulness earlier, it is noticing anything that is happening in a given moment, including walking. Yeah. Being aware of your walking. If you're walking mindfully, that okay, I'm lifting my foot, I'm placing my foot, lifting, placing. I'm noticing the weight of my body shifting from one foot to another. Yeah. Um, and then the movement of the body as a result of that. Of course, you're aware of your surroundings. You know, you're not looking down, but you're aware of walking at the same time. Have you ever found that um, you're talking on the phone or you're texting while walking, and then you don't even know when you started and when you arrived? Yeah. It's kind of changing that type of habit pattern and being more with what you're doing. Yeah. Basically, not multitasking. Um, Now, a couple more techniques that I wanted to bring to you that you may remember uh, after leaving here. The stop technique. I mean, the stop sign. We all see this whether we are driving or walking. So remembering that stop acronym. S for stop. Stopping meaning not necessarily stopping the movement, but stopping the thought even. We are thinking something, we are worried about something, stressed about something. Just pausing that thought process, taking a few breaths, T, or taking a moment. Yeah, taking a pause. Then observing whatever is happening. You might observe all those reactions that you saw, that you discussed or shared in the chat, right? The stress reactions. You might observe that the way you feel in your body, emotions that you're observing. Yeah, O for observe. And then P for proceed. Then proceeding with what you think is in your best interest, what is beneficial or safe for you in that moment, whether that's a conversation or whether that's something else. Yeah, so the STOP acronym. Then there's a RAIN acronym you can also remember, just looking at it in a different way. Imagine if you are in a difficult situation, recognizing R. In the RAIN, R for recognize, recognizing that, okay, there is difficulty, not feeling so great. Allowing yourself to feel that and to investigate that, the I, right? Allowing yourself to acknowledge that, to observe and investigate, and then to non-identify with it or nurture yourself. Yeah, whatever you would like to use the N for. Non-identifying meaning not thinking, saying that, I am exhausted or I am tired. I am experiencing exhaustion. I'm experiencing tired. Not that I am stressed. I am experiencing stress, right? Because how can how can a person be stressed? Stress is an experience. Yeah, it's not a human being itself. So that's what not identifying means. Yeah. And then just to put this in a broader perspective, whenever we get stressed, like the last concept here, whenever we get stressed, there is some sort of outcome of that. It's either a reaction or a response, the R. Yeah. To insert a pause in between so that we have some time and some bandwidth to be aware and then to choose to even use all these acronyms, these techniques, whatever that might be. Yeah, there's a whole list of these that are available. And some of you, I know you have been in mindfulness programs, so you're aware of these. Some of you, you might take mindfulness programs, you will learn more of these. But these are some of those that are easily with you no matter where you are. Your breathing is with you, your body is with you. Yeah. So now I wanted to connect uh, these mindfulness practices with some neuroscience here. Yeah. So I took some concepts from a couple of publications here. Um, in this particular slide, what we are looking at here is a part of our brain, the one in the yellow that or golden that you see, right? That is right underneath our forehead. Uh, is the cortical part of our brain. Yeah, a prefrontal cortex part of the brain more specifically. Yeah. So what I've seen is this particular part, it is used or supports us in focusing our attention on something. Yeah. It is also used in predicting the consequences of our action. Like we are kind of being logical, right? We are anticipating that, oh, what events are happening, what is happening in my environment. And then uh, we are trying to control our impulse, right? Managing our emotional reactions because we want to do the best thing that is for us. Yeah. So all that is being processed by this particular area. And then we are planning, any planning that we do for future, all that planning comes from this area. Yeah. And then we even do some complex activities here. We kind of coordinate and adjust like our behaviors. Yeah. Behaviors like, for example, we are, like we said, we are thinking of the consequences. So we are thinking that, okay, if I can't do A until B happens, then I'm going to do this. Or if I can do A, then B will happen, right? Like if, for example, if I have the ingredients for hot chocolate, I can make hot chocolate and enjoy it. If I don't have them, I might have to go. So some sort of coordinating behavioral patterns, they are supported, processed by the prefrontal cortex. So you can say, you can call this as the logical part of the brain or the wizard brain with the W. Yeah. So another way of looking at this function of this particular brain is it's called like it's facilitates the executive control of the brain. Yeah. And then how mindfulness is connected with that, this is like the highlight of this particular concept is this particular brain area seems to be getting stronger and stronger with mindfulness practice. This particular publication actually discusses that in the journal Neuroaffective, Social Cognitive Affective Neuroscience. Yeah. What they see is actually the gray matter. There's more synapses, the more nerve connections that are happening here, which translates into higher activity. Yeah. So that's the connection. Logical wizard brain getting stronger with mindfulness practices. As simple that they seem like, there have been studies which show this particular outcome. Yeah. Just so you know that if you're just sitting there doing these twisty movements, focusing on your palms, what is happening? This is happening. Now, now what about the other part of the brain? What about other functions? So, speaking of meditation and neuroplasticity, which I earlier mentioned, like the changes in your brain, the brain getting stronger, more synapses, more functionality, that's neuroplasticity. Yeah. So, I wanted to make you aware of this particular area of the brain, the amygdala. In this particular image, you can see that is placed over here, right, at the kind of a center of the brain, little lower. It is known as like the limbic area, the limbic system of the brain, which is what the amygdala is part of. And what this area is used for is for processing of memory. This, but processing of memory in conjunction with other parts of the brain, not by itself. Decision making, emotional response. Uh, but emotional response that is based for fear, anxiety, aggression. Yeah. So this particular area of the brain, it's actually makes these decisions, processes these memories of fear, anxiety, aggression. So it is the reactive part of our brain. Yeah, or what we also call as the lizard brain, because it comes from our evolutionary, when we are like a lower evolutionary form animal, uh, we are carrying this particular brain, part of brain with us even now. That's why it is called as a lizard brain. Yeah. But what has been seen now, this is like a figure I took from this publication from journal Neuroimage. You are seeing these three panels. I mean, it's not important to go into details of this, but what is of note, what is important here is what they're looking at. There are two groups here. Yeah. The blue one, HEP, and then the on the red one, MBSR. HEP is like some health enhancement program, which could involve just going for walks, just listening to music, just simple stuff. Yeah. MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction, which I know some of you in the audience have taken before, um, is the most scientifically, clinically studied mindfulness program. Is cognitive neuroscience research, as obviously seen from this image, done on this, and some psychosomatic, social psychology research has been done on MBSR since 1979. So what you see in the first panel is that the activation of this particular lizard brain, the reactive brain, it goes down. As you see this orange or the red, this vertical axis, you're seeing my pointer, it goes down. Yeah. And then the middle panel that you see also has the two groups, the control group with the blue HEP and the test group, MBSR. What this particular panel is measuring the connectivity of amygdala with the other part of the medial prefrontal cortex. Yeah. Uh, and then the PPI stand for the psychosocial interaction. So basically, if the amygdala is having better connections with the prefrontal cortex, then it is better able to regulate this reactive behavior, right? So that is obviously going up. It is increasing in this group, which does the mindfulness practice called MBSR. Yeah. Now the last one, the final panel that you see, is again showing you the similar result, like the connectivity and the actual social outcome of that. Yeah, the psychosomatic outcome of that that is seen in the final panel, also increasing in the group that practices mindfulness. So overall, the take-home message of this particular this slide is that mindfulness reduces the activation of amygdala. So basically, it helps us regulate ourselves, regulate our fear, anxiety, aggression. Yeah. And then other conditions that actually kind of they start as anxiety, then depression, and then burnout, and so on. So by doing mindfulness practice, we talked about resilience, right? We're slowly building resilience by enhancing or strengthening our logical brain, the wizard brain, and then also regulating our lizard or reactive brain. Yeah. We're not trying to get rid of it, but trying to have a better regulation of that. So if I were to summarize the these two concepts, or in general, the concept of what mindfulness does, yeah, and what these two things do, how mindfulness affects this. So the the executive network or the logical wizard brain responsible for all of these activities that we have: empathy, insight, response, uh, responsive flexibility, emotional regulation, body regulation, morality, intuition, attuned communication, meaning knowing what we are talking about and what we want to talk about, fear modulation. A lot of that is done mediated by the prefrontal cortex. And we have seen that this area gets stronger with mindfulness practice. And then on the right side, the limbic brain, which includes the amygdala, it processes the reactiveness, fight, flight, freeze reactions and making sure that am I safe? Do people want me? The self-judgment and all that and emotions, they are all regulated by here. But what is important is the connection between these two, between the wizard brain and the lizard brain, so that we are well regulated and we make logical choices that are good for us. And that whole process becomes stronger with mindfulness practice, as studied by cognitive neuroscientific research and also psychosocial research as well. So there are several other benefits that may not fit in this particular time frame of the time we have together. But then I just wanted to list what they are. Yeah. So it helps in reduction in stress, depression, anxiety, and this could lead to burnout if this keeps going on. So it reduces that as well. Emotional regulation, like we said, which includes increase in the capacity for joy. We talked about uh, apathy or not feeling any emotion, right? In the chat box, someone shared that is a sign of burnout. So that reverses, and we can feel more joy, more love, compassion, empathy. These emotions that are so important for a caregiver in any healthcare professional role. Yeah, and connection is so important for any human being to feel happy. The cognitive capacities, they enhance, or even the conditions like dementia, they slow down. We have more focus, better attention, better solving capacity, less rumination. A lot of physiological benefits to our nervous system, cardiovascular, immune system has been seen. Pain management was the first outcome of this practice studied right at 1979. That was the first thing studied out of this mindfulness research. So the drugs that are used for anxiety management, depression, and so on, they are very helpful. But then this practice could actually augment the process of reducing stress, anxiety, depression, burnout. And we might need less of these drugs, not trying to eliminate them, but actually using them wisely. Relationality increases. We are less reactive. We have improved communication skills and so on. Um, we have more productivity. We are better at doing what we set our goals to. Social, interpersonal relationships, social connectedness, decision making gets better, which is very important in medical healthcare profession, anything in life really. Positive lifestyle changes that we want to make, they become more possible. So I also wanted to highlight most of this research that is done on mindfulness was done on this program called Mindfulness Based Stress Reduction, or MBSR for short. So another question is, where do I begin? Yeah. We got all this information. What do I do with all this? So, to first of all, to decide to prioritize your well-being, setting intention. Sleep is a very important one. Yeah. And setting an alarm, like speaking of what to take with you from here, like the toolkit to reduce burnout. Set a go-to bed alarm, like more than like a waking up alarm. Seeking out resources, particularly groups, apps, courses that will get you started on this journey of mindfulness. Um, Peer-to-peer motivation. So therefore, being in groups actually helps. And if someone else is doing this with you, that's even better. Integrative practices to use this mindfulness practice in communication, which is the biggest thing we do in life, communicate in many different forms. So learning nonviolent communication, any other mindfulness activities. And beginning with like a commitment. Anything begins with a commitment, and a certain length of doing something actually sticks. So let's say a 30 day, 21 days for some people. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause over there and complete this discussion of mindfulness, the neuroscience, the behavioral science related with that, and what mindfulness does uh, in all these aspects. Yeah. So we'll take some questions now. I'm going to quickly check the chat. Let's see. I'm going to do a quick time check here. Yeah. So pause for questions, any questions that one may have. And you can do a couple of things. I think Moderator is will help you unmute to speak and ask a question in voice, but you can also type your questions in the chat as well. So I see one question here already. Um, Nicholas is asking, in your experience and studies, what percent of all mental stress that people experience is not actually helpful? For example, worrying about things outside of our control. Very important question, Nicholas. So we saw the fight or flight or freeze response, right? So it was in place for a reason. Back in the days when we were chased by wild animals in the wild, that was helping us like be alive, save our life. Yeah. So we require some amount of stress. That whole stress cycle we do need because it saves our life. For example, let's say if we are in a stressful situation, there's no wild animal. Yeah. We experience the stress and we get the physiology, the neuroscience activated, yeah, in our body, the nervous system activated that helps us manage the stress in that moment. Yeah. But then if it keeps happening over and over and over and again, then that becomes not helpful. So if you are looking at the percentage, um, I don't know if you can say like 25% of stress is good or 30% is good and the rest of it is not. It's actually case by case basis. I can give a couple of examples. Let's say we are stuck in traffic and we're feeling very stressful. We need to get somewhere. We are already late. Yeah. Feeling
Hello.
stressed, all the heart pumping and so on. Yes, Marcia is saying something. Anyway, continuing on. You're feeling stressed, being stuck in traffic, and then your heart is pumping, all those stress reactions are happening. Yeah. Um, but then if this happens once, it is okay. Yeah, you might manage that, and somehow that might give you an idea of that, okay, I should like go into some change my lanes or do something to move myself forward. Yeah. But then if that happens over and over and over again, the whole stress physiology that I mentioned, adaptive syndrome that we talked about, that kicks in again and again and again. Yeah. And therefore the body undergoes exhaustion. So this could vary from person to person, Nicholas, like based on their resiliency to stress.
Dr. Bhagat,
Yes, Marcia.
I'm not sure how to ask this question.
Mhm.
While I was listening to your presentation and all the different elements that you spoke in terms of, stress and stress management, um, what came to mind in everyone had to do with our ability to uh, commitment in terms of managed time. I find personally, I always say to myself, if I just had enough time, I wouldn't be in the situation of feeling this stress. I'll be able to handle, all the difficult situations that I'm in. And so my question to you is what are the points that you can provide us with as relates to being able to manage time so that we can get to the point of being able to get to that commitment, manage your fear, anxieties. What would you suggest?
Hmm. Excellent question, Marcia. How many of us here that are present have this challenge? Yeah, managing time. That we feel like if we could manage our time well, a lot of our problems would be solved. Yeah, not all, but a lot. How
Mhm.
many of us feel that way? Yeah. Um, I'm guessing several of us. Yeah. So I talked about making logical choices, right? That are enhanced by mindfulness practice through our prefrontal cortex region. Now, where to begin? Yeah. How much to meditate, what to do to manage our time better. So, managing time is one of the decisions that we make, and we make decisions every day for everything, whether we want to wake up at a time, whether we want to have coffee or not, whether we want to get somewhere on time, whether we want to yell or scream at someone or not. We make decisions and choices every moment of our life. So, what I would say is for better time management, to use some of the strategies I mentioned. Number one is sleep. So, going to bed alarm, sleeping better, actually, you heard this expression that, okay, let me sleep on it. Yeah. What does that mean? It's not like they're writing it down and putting that under them while they're sleeping on it. Uh, there's actually a whole scientific process going on when we are sleeping on it, meaning our body is regenerating. Yeah.
Mhm,
All our hormones are regulated. There's a lot of repair that is going on in our body, including our brain. Yeah, there's a lot of hormonal changes that are happening in our brain, like this particular compound adenine that gets accumulated, which leads to us feeling like groggy, headachy, and so on. That kind of changes and reduces an amount when
mhm,
we sleep, and that allows us to make decisions properly. Yeah, that allows that particular brain region, prefrontal cortex, to work properly. So sleep is number one. And then uh, the trigger of stress that happens, and that can become hair trigger in all of us, that interferes in our decision making. And that's what we are trying to reduce by doing some mindfulness practice. Yeah. You can sit for just like 1 minute or 5 minutes and see how that will maybe allow you to manage your time better. I would suggest taking, let's say, a structured approach to this, and maybe taking a structured learning approach to mindfulness, that how you can incorporate in your life. So
mhm,
doing that for a particular length of time actually sticks with a person. And what they have tested is like 8 to 9 weeks, usually, is
mhm,
that length of time,
mhm.
if you really want to get on that path.
Ah,
But
mm.
yeah, I hope that answers your question in some way,
It does. It does.
or raises more questions.
Well, that's a chance, but we'll start from this and see
Yeah.
how I make progress. We actually have, I believe, Farah has
Mhm.
requested to speak and ask
Yes,
you a
please.
question.
Yes, please.
Farah, are you there?
So Farah has actually canceled that request, but we do have two more questions in the chat.
Okay, let me take a look. Diana asks, is it odd for most mindfulness practices to usually make me drowsy and sleepy? I'm pretty sure it's a testament to how tired I might be, but could it be possibly a sign of something else? Now, now my question to all of you, I'm answering this question. My question to all of you is that how many of you have tried mindfulness practices or some relaxation practice and you just fall asleep? You just fall asleep, whether you're meditating or you're doing
Mhm,
some breathing, you just fall asleep. Yeah. So my guess is like Diana is not alone in feeling this way. Yeah. So yes, so the answer to your question, Diana, is yes, it is very common for someone to feel drowsy and sleepy. Yeah. Also very true. There's awareness. What I said, mindfulness is being aware, knowing whatever is happening right now. So now you're knowing that, okay, I'm drowsy, I am sleep deprived, I need more sleep. That's information. Yeah, that's mindfulness. Mindfulness is not like turning the switch off in your head and just not thinking anything. Mindfulness, as I learn and teach, is knowing what is going on and
mhm,
being kind and gentle with yourself, not trying to change it. Yeah. So now, but the question is that, okay, if I just keep going on like this, drowsy, sleepy, how am I going to do mindfulness? How am I going to get that wizard brain stronger? Yeah. So that's why the invitation that was, if you remember in the practice we did, was to sit comfortably, but alert. Now, how to make that happen? There are a few techniques. If you know that you're sitting down and leaning back on your chair, so proprioception, right? The body feels the touch, right? Um, to whatever we have. And there is a reason why when we lie down, we fall asleep. We don't fall asleep when we are standing up, do we? Yeah. So if you're meditating, sometimes you could stand up and meditate. Yeah. If you know you're not going to fall asleep. I mean, horses can do that. I don't know, humans can. But that's one way. Even if you're lying down, you can have your arms propped up like a robot. Yeah, if you definitely want to meditate and you're meditating, but then if your hands fall down, you'll know that, okay, I need to wake up and again meditate. So again, choice. You have the choice, but doing what is needed. Sometimes you might say, okay, I'm going to meditate to sleep, and that's perfectly fine.
mhm,
But choosing something that you want and then doing it, right?
mhm.
These are some strategies that could be helpful. I hope that answers your question, Diana. There's another question. Joseph says, what do you define as a consistent long-term mindfulness practice? Does this mean daily meditation or other things as well? Okay, very important question indeed. It's like a very popular question in the mindfulness world or anybody who's deciding to do this. So let's take an example of exercise. Choice is at the center of this. Like you are the one in the in that seat to choose. So choosing what are you looking for? For example, if I'm like if I want to build my muscles, I want to build my muscles just strong enough that I can lift this cup without any problem, right? I have problems, let's say, imagine problems lifting this cup. So I might go and say do like 10 pounds weight and do some biceps. Yeah. I might do some exercises. But let's say if I want to become a bodybuilder and fight some, I don't know, MMA, uh, whatever else, jiu-jitsu, I might need a little more practice for that. So identifying what is your goal, yeah, and then how does this translate in your life? It could translate like, okay, I want to be a better communicator. I want to feel less stressed. So the timing, the how much length of time do you want to meditate for, depends on you. But roughly, let's say if you do 10 minutes a day, you will begin to notice some differences in your way of experiencing difficulty and challenges. This reminds me of a very good book. It's called Altered Traits. A lot of you probably already know. That book actually discusses and shows some neuroscientific data on a variety of groups, lay meditation practitioners who are new to meditation, long-term meditation practitioners, monks, ascetics, and so on. They scan their brains and show what is happening in the brain, how does that correlate with your behavior, right, including managing time. So I highly recommend that book to you. I hope that answers your question. But if you are asking me, yeah, my personal opinion, like disclaimer, my opinion, I would say suggest like starting somewhere, building a structure like same time every day, and then adding time to it, like 1 minute every day to begin with, just 1 minute. For 1 week, 1 minute, next week, adding 2 minutes to it, and slowly keep adding to it until you can get to 45 minutes. Yeah. Because the studies that show the outcome results that are like seen in the broader population, diverse population, is that 45 minutes for, let's say, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, that's when you see it. That doesn't mean you're done with that, like a course of some painkillers or, I don't know, antibiotics. It's not like that. Then you continue on because the effect stays and it kind of, what do you call that? It compounds, yeah, the positive effect. Anyway, that's a long answer to the question.
Thank you.
Say,
By the way, Farah did not ask a question, but she did make the comment that meditation does work. So we
thanks,
can all
Farah.
thank you. We can all keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And with that last question and comment from Farah, our presentation has come to an end. Thank you very much, Dr. Bhagat. We definitely enjoy your presentation. Hopefully, we're taking, if not a lot, a little, based on our needs, that we're able to benefit from your presentation. With that in mind, just a couple of reminders. One, please complete your survey. As I mentioned, the information is very important for our organization and to be able to prepare for future presentation and events. Also, remember that you will be receiving a 1.5 CEUs from NAB. This presentation has been recorded and it will be made available to you shortly as soon as it completes the editing process. And we want to again thank our collaborator, the Black Long-Term Care Executives, for their support in participating in this webinar and their members supporting the organization throughout quite a bit of years at this point in time. So thank you very much, Black Long-Term Care. We want to thank you again, Dr. Bhagat, and let you know that you will be receiving one of the famous Health Executive Club plaque that we give you with great respect and honor for your presentation. and for you to remember us every time wherever you decide to place it, that there is this organization that actually is looking out for the welfare of its members and its partners and collaborators in more ways than one. We find that it's important to have that your mental health and your physical health in place to be able to get your job done, either in healthcare or in whatever profession you have chosen. And so that's the reason for this presentation. It's not all about budgets and dollars and cents. If you are not able to carry out your responsibilities, the budgets and dollars and cents in management will go out the window. So thank you very much for that. In addition to that, a reminder to all those that are participated in this webinar, and for all those that support our organization, the Health Executive Club would like for you to put a mark your calendar for 2 events. One will be taking place April the 11th and at Elmhurst Hospital. A lot of great updated information will be coming to you. You'll hear more about the topic and speakers. And also on May 7th, we will be, and these are in-person presentations. On May 7th, we will be at Northwell Health at the corporate offices with another presentation. So mark your calendars, put Health Executive Club, great things to come. With that, I thank you very much again, Dr. Bhagat, and for all those that attended, and have a safe evening as you make your way home or wherever you decide you will be going. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcia, the Healthcare Executive Club, the Black Long-Term Care Executive Club, and everybody else who is attending here. And special thanks to Dennis Conway, Marcel Gacom. I'm very pleased to be here, and I hope this helps you in some ways and makes you choose, helps you choose, motivates you to choose mindfulness and make your life a little happier, more manageable, and be a better healthcare professional or a better human as you would like to be. Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Have a great evening.
Everybody.